All right, let's talk about something that's kind of strange, making progress with your money. You don't just wake up one day and feel rich. There's no big ceremony, no announcement in the mail. It's this really quiet, slow process, and that can be frustrating. It can make you wonder, am I even doing this right?
So that's what we're digging into today. If the numbers in your bank account don't always tell the whole story, what does? What are those little signs, those quiet signals that let you know all your hard work is actually paying off? We're talking about the real milestones on the path to financial freedom.
And we really need to sit with that for a second. Because, let's be honest, it's so easy to get discouraged. You're doing all the right things, saving, investing, but your day-to-day life doesn't feel any different. It really is a marathon, not a sprint. And for most of that race, it feels like you're running completely alone.
But then, one day, something shifts. It's not some big dramatic moment. It's quiet. You realize a problem that would have completely derailed you a couple of years ago is now just an inconvenience, a hassle, but not a catastrophe. That feeling, that little bit of lightness, that is progress. And that's what we're going to break down.
So, Section 1, moving from survival to stability. And look, the first milestone, and maybe the most important one of all, has absolutely nothing to do with being rich. It's about an internal shift. It's that moment when the constant buzzing anxiety about money finally starts to fade. You know what survival mode feels like, right? Every single purchase is stressful. A surprise car repair feels like a total disaster. Well, the first real sign you're making progress is when that fear just dials down. Your bills are just pieces of paper again, not a final exam you're about to fail. And that stability, it's a game changer. It unlocks something huge, better decisions. You stop making choices out of panic and start making them from a place of strength. And this isn't just some vague feeling. You can actually measure it. Financial planners track this using something called the debt-to-income ratio. And a healthy financial life means that over time, your debt gets smaller and smaller compared to what you earn. So when you're 30, having debt that's almost twice your annual income might be pretty normal, but by the time you hit 60, that number should be way, way down. That's the math behind that life feels lighter feeling.
Okay, so once you've built that stable foundation, what's next? Section 2, the power of autopilot. This is where things get really cool, because your progress starts to feel almost effortless. It's when your system starts doing the heavy lifting for you. Now, this usually happens in a few stages. At first, putting money aside just plain hurts. It feels like a sacrifice, and you're painfully aware of every dollar you're not spending. But then, you set things up on autopilot, and it just becomes a habit. And the final, most amazing stage, it gets boring. Yeah, boring. You stop obsessively checking your portfolio every 5 minutes. And trust me, when building wealth starts to feel boring, that's when you know you're absolutely crushing it.
And when that happens, something really profound changes in your head. Your whole mindset shifts. See, in the beginning, it's all about how can I earn more? But as your assets grow, you start to realize that your systems are more powerful than your next paycheck. You start thinking less like an employee and more like a CEO of your own finances, asking, how do I protect what I've built and how do I make it grow on its own?
And again, this isn't just a nice idea, it's backed by financial models. Take a look at this. Basically, as your wealth grows, that's the x-axis, your reliance on a paycheck to build that wealth goes way, way down. Eventually, your whole strategy shifts from just earning more to preserving and growing what you already have.
All right, Section 3. This is where we get to the good stuff, the true signs of freedom. This is when all that hard work starts to pay off in the form of real, tangible control over your own life, your time, and your choices. And this milestone, oh, it is a big one. It's the power of no. Suddenly, you have the ability to say no to things. No to a job with a toxic culture. No to unreasonable pressure from a boss. Your time starts to feel less frantic. You might still work just as hard, but it's not out of desperation anymore. It's on your terms. Every single no is a direct measure of your growing freedom.
And this isn't theory. This quote from someone on this exact journey just captures it perfectly. It's that feeling when they, whoever they are, don't own you anymore. That's so powerful, right? It's the moment you realize your job doesn't own you, your debt doesn't own you, you have actual choices. That shift from feeling trapped to feeling empowered, man, that is a milestone worth celebrating.
There's actually a name for this level of freedom in the financial world. It's called Coast Fire, and it's a pretty incredible concept. It means you've invested enough money that even if you never add another penny, it's on track to grow into a full retirement nest egg all by itself. So you just need to work enough to cover your daily expenses. You don't have to grind for your future anymore. Imagine that. You could take a more meaningful, lower-paying job or work part-time. That is the ultimate control over your time.
Okay, so let's get into section 4, why this way of looking at things really matters. Why focus on these feelings instead of just one number in your investment account?
Well, here's the thing. Staring at that one number, your net worth, all day long, it can actually do more harm than good, especially early on.
The old way of thinking tells us to look at charts like this and compare ourselves. What's the median net worth for my age? So if you're, say, 42 and you don't have $58,000 saved, does that mean you're a failure? Of course not. This kind of comparison is usually just a recipe for making yourself feel awful.
And the pros agree. Certified financial planner Omar Murillo puts it perfectly. This whole comparison game is counterproductive. It just creates stress and makes you feel like you're not good enough. And worse, it can make you do impulsive things, like taking on way too much risk to try and catch up. The only person you should be competing with is who you were yesterday.
And that's why these milestones we've been talking about matter so much more. They show up way before the numbers on the screen look impressive. They would keep you going when the stock market is freaking out. They take away that stress of comparing yourself to others. They are the little wins, the quiet confirmations that you're doing the right thing. And honestly, that's what keeps you in the game for the long haul.
So let's bring it all home. Financial freedom isn't some finish line you cross one day. It's not a place you just arrive at. It's built-in moments. The moment you pay a surprise bill without panicking. The moment you make a better choice because you aren't desperate. The moment you say no and take back a piece of your time.
So if you recognize even one of these signs in your own life, no matter how small it feels, I want you to really take a second and acknowledge that. It means you are not behind, you are not stuck, you are on track. And that is exactly what building real, lasting freedom looks and feels like.
But that brings up a really critical question, doesn't it? If this whole process is so slow and the wins are so quiet, how in the world do you stay patient and motivated without just giving up? Well, that's exactly what we're going to dive into next time.